Welcome, everybody. We are back. The Fargonaut Boys are back with another installment of this Disney Toon Classic Rewind rewatch from the 90s. And we're getting towards the end of our series. I am here with my broachy boys, Wilson and Eric. Say what's up, boys. We are going to jump into recess. It's time for a little recess. And yeah, this is getting to be more of the era where I was really hooked on a series, and I haven't revisited this for a while. But yeah, what are your guys' history with recess?
Always enjoyed it. Call myself a recess enjoyer.
Nice.
You know me.
We know you.
We know you. I'll earn a living.
Yeah, I know me.
I mean, it was fun. You got a whole cast. It was like the Kids Next Door with without some of the fantastical elements, you know.
Yep. Yeah, like your standard for all these shows, which is like, each character is unique and different and from a different part of, weird to say society, but society, right? Like a different type of people you'd run into at school, right?
Okay, let's break those down. What do we have? Like, and then get their archetype.
So we got our main character, TJ Detweiler, cool kid, troublemaker, right? That's his kind of role. You got Vince, who is the athlete, the jock guy, plays basketball. Then you got Spinelli, the tough girl, a little more tomboyish, likes to punch people. You got Gretchen, who's the nerd girl. Got a couple nerds in this. Got nerd girl. And then you got Mikey, the big lovable guy who's big heart. He is deceptively smart also. He got a big old voice on him too. That boy can sing.
I remember that episode.
Yeah. And then you got Gus, who's at the start of the series was a new student. But he's kind of the timid, shy kid that has problems standing up for himself. I guess that a lot of them, they're all kind of outsiders, with the exception of maybe Vince. Vince is like the guy who's the athlete, but also hangs out with, whoever he wants to.
But there's also like the archetypes of like the cliquey girls. There's like the kindergartners. Yeah.
Just like savages.
Yeah.
Savages with like paint on their mouth.
You got the tattletale rat kid, Randall, that always runs to Miss Finster and tells on everybody.
And there's like that jock king that like held like that whole like playground set that the jock would just sit on top of with his like hockey stick and stuff.
Yeah, King Robert. Yeah, we have so Randall's one of the students. Erwin, who's a bully to younger students. There's King Robert. The Ashleys, which were the girls you were talking about.
Yeah.
There's other characters like Hustler Kid. This is the guy who's got all the contraband and stuff on the playground.
Yes, I remember him now.
There's Guru Kid, who's the source of spiritual advice.
Mikey's buddy, yeah.
Swinger Girl, who's always at the swing set.
At the swings, yep.
Yep. Upside Down Girl. Spends her time hanging upside down. Menlo, who's a kid that works at the office. Diggers. Kids who spend their time digging holes.
Oh yeah, and they have like headlamps.
Huggy holes.
Yeah.
They're like
Singing
they wore
kid.
Suspenders and like hard hats and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and got like a goggles or some shit.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like just all these different characters throughout it. Really fun. This is the first one of these that is like that started on the Disney One Saturday morning. On ABC, the rest of these were like so far had been like the Disney afternoon shows
Mm-hmm.
until we got to like Gargoyles. Gargoyles, the third season, moved to one Saturday morning. Recess was on one Saturday morning. I think Pepper Ann is. Maybe Mighty Ducks. I think when Disney bought Doug, that's where Disney's Doug was too.
Yep.
I think was on Saturday morning. So this is like different blocks, but essentially the same kind of idea, right? It's a lot where a lot of these original cartoons for Disney went as the 90s wore on into the early 2000s.
You think these were made for that one Saturday morning kind of block too? Because the other ones we've watched were from other blocks from like something else, like that were running on like ABC or something.
Yeah.
Or like not ABC, but like they were syndicated already.
Like I was saying, a lot of these all started on the except for these late ones on the Disney Saturday morning block or Disney afternoon block, like. But yeah, as they went into syndication, then some of them would go on Toon Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them would, get replayed on, Disney Saturday morning sometimes. All that stuff. They'd get spread throughout that various Disney cartoon programming after their initial lifespan.
Right.
Whereas, as we're getting later now, the Disney afternoon block is different now, and that's when they start getting like more live action stuff and like start getting away from the cartoons.
Yeah, when they started like, well, I don't know if it was on one Saturday morning, but like when they started doing like Hannah Montana and those types of things, that kind of live action stuff.
Those were like
popular
Disney afternoon, Disney evening stuff instead of all this stuff. I'm not as familiar. Again, like I followed this over because that's where Power Rangers when Disney bought Power Rangers or had Power Rangers, that was playing on Disney Saturday mornings as well.
Oh, see, I always thought that was a Fox thing.
It was when Aim Saban, who owned Power Rangers, it was on Fox for a long time. Then they sold it to Disney. And then Disney had it for a while. They did some cool stuff that I liked. That was like Ninja Storm and like what was it called? Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder, where Tommy came back again.
Dino Thunder.
Yeah, where he's the Black Dino Thunder Ranger. But he was their high school science teacher. Then when the team becomes whatever the Dino Rangers, and he fucking's like, oh hey, BT Dubs, I was a Ranger the whole time.
All right, Bradshaw, before we spill too much Power Ranger stuff.
I know I'm moving on, but yeah, like that's where all that stuff ended up. So that era of Disney afternoon, I'm not as familiar with until you get to, like we were talking about, the more live action stuff, which I think was more like an early 2000s thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Early mid 2000s. So there's about 5-ish years there where I have no idea what the hell Disney afternoon was. So.
Well, we'll get to that because we did talk about other series that we could potentially do where it is focused on more of the live action takes on these cartoon centric channels, but we could also, Bradshaw, we can hit those Power Rangers and we can do some.
Brother, don't tempt me.
I know. Get the Bradshaw juices flowing again for
pilot episode of every Power Ranger show, dude.
Yeah.
That would be longer than any of these shows we've done, like series we've done so far combined.
Yeah, there's 20 some of those bitches at this point. Maybe we just do like the Fox one or something.
Do a straight up tier list, and we just have you coach it. Be like, okay, this one's great. This because
just do Fox era or something.
Yeah,
that was the ones that we were like young for, and actually actively watched. But yeah, anyway, besides the point. At that point, instead of Disney afternoon, I was watching Cartoon Network afternoon shit at that point. So that's when that was kicking off in the mid to late 90s. But yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I haven't seen.
As we digress before.
Yeah, we have
Before
to.
this,
We have to.
we got it.
It's only tradition, you know.
Yeah, it has to.
So we're gonna jump into recess. We're gonna have a little recess, and then we'll come back after recess and assess the recess.
We're gonna have nap time. It goes lunch, recess, nap time.
Oh yeah.
We just finished some recess. What'd you guys think?
I think I don't want to go back to class.
I don't want to go to class anymore.
It was a good old time, man. It was a dang old good old time, man.
This was a good old time.
Upside down, girl.
This is one that like I would enjoy watching more of, and I think I would like once my kids get into school a little bit more. They already appreciate playing outside, but like the idea of recess year after year after year being something you can like look forward to.
Right.
This would be a fun one for them, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is every bit as fun as I remember. They did a really, really good job speaking, as we have many times, about just first episodes and how they function. This one functioned great because it gave us a problem in the opening section, which was TJ doesn't get to go to recess. So his friends were trying to find a way to break him out, to get him out there. And to do that, they go to all of the people that we talked about earlier, all the kind of stalwarts of the recess playground.
All the like big characters. If this was like
Swinger,
Fallout or some kind of game,
Bob.
This is like, you know, the major NPCs you go to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like organic because there was a reason for them to go talk to them and be introduced to them. It wasn't just like, oh, and here's this person, here's this person, here's this person. It laid out the landscape. It even brought up we haven't seen the kindergartners yet, but they set them up. It's all set up right there. So they do a really, really good job. And of course, the prerequisite is the theme song, a banger. It is a banger.
That's what I want to get into, because if you watch that classic film, The Great Escape, you know, they have that
it is very
song,
military, and
that song that the marching beat to it, but they also do the like that kind of style too. Like they do those whistles, and it's almost like a fife and drum sort of beat. It reminded me a lot of that, because at the end of the intro song, they slam the doors to the school like they're in prison, and like the recess is their time to get out of prison.
The wiki even brings that up. The show's introductory music, art design, and style often evoke the feel of prison escape movies, such as The Great Escape, and the playground hierarchy and school administration were often depicted in ways that paid homage to common themes in such films.
How about
You got
that?
clearly the warden is the principal, and then the maybe head jailer or guard is Miss Finster or whatever her name is.
The wiki even goes into certain interpretations of the show, and how recess obviously is like a symbol of liberty, you know, when you can, you know, get out of the confines of school and go be yourself for how much ever of time. But they talk about individuality, social order, social norms. There's Cold War motifs they bring up. Like Miss Grokey's obviously like the hippie counterculture lady, juxtaposed against the authoritarian and conservative views of Miss Finster and the principal. All sorts of things about Randall suggesting blackmailing a student for being a supposed communist. There's all sorts of. There's an episode where Miss Grokey suspected by the recess gang as an anti-American spy due to her mysterious after-school life. There's stuff that now when I read that I was like, oh, I could totally see that. You know, see the prison motif, see the grand kind of liberty versus freedom versus the authoritarian structure, all that crap too.
Yeah, it's a interesting setting, and they've only before this, I think, Rugrats maybe have dabbled in that kind of theme,
Yes,
but not as the main draw of the overall like setting.
Not the main push. Yeah,
it's a great setting. It works perfect.
Yeah, and it does have a good some of these we've said these are fun kind of little vague cartoons or something, but this one actually has story arc to it and storylines, kind of like some of the other shows we watched, like a DuckTales or a Goof Troop or something that have had a actual central story to the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even it just feels like there's a loose continuity to it.
Oh yeah.
Because you get more than one little segment per episode, so it doesn't necessarily need to be a 1-part, 2-part, or even this is what happened last episode in those 2 segments. It just is the kids continuing their adventures on the playground.
Yeah, that's juxtaposed against something like Gargoyles, where there's definitely a strong continuity to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every little episode has their own adventure and brief conflict, and then they kind of resolve it towards the end.
Yep.
We didn't get to meet the actual principal though, but we did see
a
lot of Finster.
Name's Prickly. I don't think we met Randall either.
No, he did show up.
He showed up. He got a biscuit from Miss Finster.
I don't think that.
He did.
Gang,
right.
Interacted with him.
It's a little dog thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But I should mention that
It was weird.
Very weird. The principal was played by Dabney Coleman. If you guys are unfamiliar with him,
What?
Yeah, he recently passed away last year.
How did I not know that?
24. Yeah, he's from a lot of classic television and film. He's from I think he was in that Cloak and Dagger back in the 80s. I forgot who else was in it. But yeah, he was.
He does a lot of those kind of grumpy authoritarian guys too. Grumpy
Wasn't he in
fuck you guys.
Hillbillies?
Not sure.
I don't know.
But yeah, he was. He was. Yes, he was in Beverly Hillbillies, the '93 one, right? With
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, he was with
War Games as well.
Yep, War
Stepping
Games.
on my fucking voice actor toes, dude.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I don't know if you knew.
Yeah,
but
very very loose. I know the name and I know I've seen him in stuff, but off the top of my head, I couldn't just pick him out.
What a great
voice wise.
Dabney.
Yeah.
Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bracho, get into some of these these VAs.
So TJ, our boy TJ, first 2 seasons. I don't know how much of the second season, but he's voiced by a child actor named Ross Mallinger. Don't really know him from other stuff too much.
Sure.
But season 2 through 4, as well as the movie and stuff, it was Andy Lawrence, the youngest of the Lawrence brothers.
Oh, brotherly love.
Yep.
Brotherly lore and
Lawrence.
Yeah. There's this one, since there's a lot of child actors, it's pretty hit or miss with people you'd recognize.
Yeah.
One of them, obviously, Spinelli, is Pamela Adlon, who plays Bobby Hill. She was, voice actor in many other things. She's actually in Pepper Ann as well, as we'll get to. She was in fucking Californication. In that too. And then Gretchen is played, I think Tyler called it out, as Ashley Johnson.
Well, we've been kind of mentioning that throughout.
Wait, who is Ashley Johnson?
Gretchen, nerdy girl.
Oh my
nasally
gosh.
Voice.
Wow.
Yep. For me, the first time I was aware of her was as Chrissy Seaver, the youngest daughter on Growing Pains.
Yep. Same here.
Yep. And obviously she's been in a bunch of stuff since then. A lot of people nowadays might know her from being on Critical Role every once in a while. Yeah, she's Gretchen. The rest of the kids aren't people you'd know too much. The Mikey though, his singing voice when he sings is fucking Robert Goulet.
I know that's why I said like I remember that because he goes deep. He's like babadoo yo.
Miss Finster is actually voiced by someone we've run across once or twice in this this round of stuff as well. Her name is fucking April Winchell.
Sounds familiar.
She plays a character in Darkwing Duck named Bianca Beakley, but what we would most recognize her from was from Goof Troop. She played Peg.
Yes, that's
Pete's
what she
wife.
is. Yep.
She's also Dill Pickle in Bonkers, Detective Pickle's
Heck.
kid or wife. I don't remember wife maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, so she was in that. She's also in an episode of Gargoyles, so she's all over this stuff too. Let's see, yeah, you said Principal Pickley already. Grotke, I know this actress for a very specific reason. Her name's Alice Beasley. I only know her because she played Coach's daughter on Cheers for an episode.
Oh.
That's all.
Jesus, Bradshaw.
That's what I know her from. Other ones, there's a fifth grader that gets played by Eric Von Detten, who was Andy Brinker in Skater in Brink.
Hell yeah.
He was on So Weird also. He was in one of the Witch Mountain movies too. But Bob, King Robert, this is an interesting one. Tyler, you called out one of his security dudes as potentially a character from Hey Arnold, right?
Gerald, or Harold.
Gerald, yeah. Well, this actor, Lane Torren, plays King Bob.
That's Arnold, isn't it?
That is Arnold. Yep, he is the voice of Arnold. So yeah, there is Hey Arnold crossover, as you brought up. Otherwise, yeah, it's not much as far as like there's another student later that gets played by Mayim Bialik.
Blossom, right?
Blossom. Yep, she's on Big Bang Theory too. But yeah, this series
with another Lawrence brother. That's why I said Blossom. That was Joey.
Blossom, yes, Joey. Yep.
Whoa.
But yeah, Recess ran from 97 to 2001. And then continued in reruns for many years after. It had a movie, a theatrical movie, Recess the movie. And then there was some direct-to-video ones called Recess Christmas, Miracle on 3rd Street, Recess Taking the 5th Grade, and Recess All Growed Down. And then they even there's a crossover with Lilo and Stitch, the TV series.
What?
Topical, we were just talking about that. Yep.
Wow.
TJ and the gang go on a school vacation to Hawaii. But yeah, the last movie of it, Recess Taking the 5th Grade, was a direct video. It's a compilation of 3 news stories involving the characters in the 5th grade, and it serves as the series finale for the show. But yeah, it's in 2002. The creators have been talking about doing a potential revival, or 2022. I don't know if I said that wrong or not, but they had been working on a potential revival. But they've been working on it for a while. At that point in 2022, they'd been working on it for 4 years. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so who knows if that's ever going to see the light of day. But this is one nowadays, unlike a lot of these, where you'll see them pop up in, comics and like toys and stuff and all this stuff, or reboots. This one hasn't. And similar with Pepper Ann. I wonder if it's just that generation. It's not super nostalgia heavy as like the 90s, and then like the like early 2000s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of towards the end of the 90s, maybe not as much as nostalgia as those eras had, but
It's timeless.
yeah, it's a weird one.
Rewatching it, it feels
Yeah.
timeless. It's the style is not necessarily like 90s to me. Like they all had
No,
like
it
their
feels-
I don't know, the archetypes just fit them perfectly. Like their clothes and the style.
It doesn't particularly like fit Disney either necessarily, right? It's kind of
No.
its own. Like I was saying, they started getting more unique with their series. Where like early on when we started doing this, it was just different versions of Disney properties,
Right.
right? And then we start branching out into like original stuff, but it still looks Disney. This is like we've pushed for original stuff and we're monkeying with designs a little bit.
Well,
But
yeah.
that might be a response to things like Nickelodeon having exploded at this point,
Like it has
by
that,
this point.
that
And then,
what's that production company? Klasky Kasupo or whatever.
Klasky Supo.
It
Yeah,
looks
did,
like that.
Rugrats.
It kind of has that
And they,
style.
Funny story, person who did those character designs
Mhm.
for Rugrats is the creator of Aeon Flux.
Whoa.
Yeah, he also animated the intro to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 80s animated series.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Weird little connections there. But
Yeah, crazy connections.
yeah. But yeah, so we're getting more unique looking cartoons from Nickelodeon. They're even on a downturn at this point because this premieres the same year that SpongeBob does, which is 97.
Whoa.
So this is like, and SpongeBob was one of the kind of last of that classic Nickelodeon style show,
Yep.
And then like Cartoon Network is starting to kick off at this point too, because it really starts getting going in like 96, 97 with their like original, their like cartoons and shit like that.
Yep.
So like this is a like they had to be different than they were, right? Because you're getting two like juggernauts of animation happening, one after the other right in this area. So crazy.
It is
Crazy
crazy.
time for animation at
It's-
that point
Yeah,
in
that,
97.
that stat is crazy to think that SpongeBob
SpongeBob
premiered
97.
when this came out, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. And SpongeBob, a lot of people will forget, but it was like a lot of those Nickelodeon cartoons of the 90s where it was strange and weird and
Yep.
could be off-putting and like all that stuff. Like it's evolved over time, but when it started, it was a very Nickelodeon cartoon,
Yeah, it was very. I don't know. I don't want to say dirty, but that's like.
No, it combined elements of like a Ren and Stimpy.
Yep, I was gonna say that.
And like other shows on around that time.
Like the All Real Monsters.
Real Monsters, yep. Like all that shit. It and then it, moved on from that.
Rocco's.
Rocco's, yep. So it's a interesting part of animation lineage that still exists to this day. But I mean, that's kind of why we're like doing these the way that we're doing them too, because it's like the Disney animations, like original animated television series, really kicked off at the end of the 80s and through the early 90s when we were starting to be cognizant and then catch reruns, and that was the thing. And then early mid 90s, then Nickelodeon kicks off.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that's why then mid late 90s is when Cartoon Network original cartoons start really kicking off. And so it's like,
would you say that's a pretty big boom in general? Like the 90s were a big boom for like these original cartoons to kind of show off their
and
stuff.
I think And I think it kind of goes back. Remember when we were talking about gummy bears
Mm-hmm.
and how like that was a nexus point for like animated cartoons and upping their game
True.
because they were seeing what was, being done there, and it could be done. So, so maybe this all goes back to motherfucking gummy bears. You
It
know
might.
what I mean?
That's the catalyst.
But yeah, right. And I always had this. I think I've talked about it before. This theory that animated series usually, quality-wise, reflect quality of cartoon like 20 years before it, because like usually the person who created that cartoon was young when these cartoons were out, and that's what was influencing them to make these, right? And it kind of works out, so it'd be like people in the 90s, right, when all this was cracking off, were influenced by stuff from the 70s, right? Which that was like the explosion of like the Hanna-Barbera stuff, like all that. Really, I mean, Hanna-Barbera started in the 60s, but like mid to late 60s, I think. But they had that explosion of series throughout the 70s, and a bunch of other cartoons like that. Then you get the 80s, right, which is kind of a dark time because
Dark
it's
time,
like
but what we notice is a lot of like
there's a lot of
heroes and
it was a lot of marketing and toy sales taking over, right?
Yep.
So like they didn't care about the cartoon quality necessarily, and so you got the kind of stilted animation and kind of weird designs and not great stories that were basically just toy commercials in the 80s. And then you hit the 90s, right? Like we were talking about, all this kind of renaissance and explosion of animation and stuff, kind of a response to, when they were growing up in the 70s. And then you get the early 2000s, and the early 2000s are kind of rough for animation. Like, there's not much from that era that I could be like, yes, this was good, this was good, this was good. There's maybe a couple, but like, again, it's kind of reflected in the 80s. But then you get the 2010s, right, which was another animation renaissance. You're getting your Adventure Times, your regular shows, your Phineas and Ferbs, you're like all these like really good shows, and ones that even harken back to, like in the case of something like Adventure Time, kind of harkens back to that kind of older cartoon with the like sometimes weird, off-putting kind of stuff in it, and it's very much a reflection of that era. Or something like Phineas and Ferb, which is created by dudes who worked on shows in that era. Dudes worked on like Rocko's and like Think SpongeBob and like a couple other things. So it's like, yeah, that's my theory there, is that every decade is reflective of the animation 20 years before that really influenced these people, right?
Yeah, you're right on the money with that, because I feel like the aesthetics change, or everybody's approach is different with each decade. Because there was the 80s where it just seemed like there was all just macho men and robot cars and things like that.
Yep.
And then it kind of like dwindles back, and it's like, all right, now let's tell compelling stories, and it's all about story, and then it's all about characters. And then it's like, all right, well, like Batman and the Turtles, and I mean, this show seemed like it was a renaissance of just like telling kid stories.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was a whole lot of other things other than like Rugrats, where it was like babies, and like you couldn't really connect with that other than the fact that they were just being adventurous babies.
And this was coming towards the end of that era too. Like, it exemplified a lot of the best of that era. But it was towards the end of it, right? So like I said, it's 97, right?
So what else was out on other channels? It was like Samurai Jack on at this time, and like that type of stuff?
Samurai Jack was early 2000s, I think. I think Samurai Jack was like 2000 or something. Let me see. Samurai Jack let's see.
I just want to know what else was popular like on Cartoon Network and like Fox.
Yeah.
Because this is around the time where maybe I was like already deep
Samurai
into.
Jack was 2001.
I was like deep into anime maybe, or like discovering anime.
No, like Dragon Ball Z hadn't started yet. That didn't start. So that wave of anime that kind of kicks off around that time.
It started before 2000. I remember that.
Oh yeah. I was in third. Because I remember it. I was in third grade at the time. So that means third grade for me was 98, 99, I think. So yeah. So it would have been a year or two before this, or after this. I mean that stuff really kicks off. So yeah, it's around that time. You know what I mean?
True.
And we're getting older too.
Yep. Your
taste
is changing a little bit. You're like, all right, I don't want to watch this kiddie stuff anymore. I'm watching wrestling and like Simpsons now, and like
yeah. This is when I'm starting to watch wrestling. This is 100% when I'm starting to watch wrestling, because it's like, again, it's like it's superheroes and supervillains and live action, right?
Yep.
Playing out. It's a new episode of a superhero show every week, and then like, yeah, I'm starting to transition out of this stuff. Still watching it, but not as like much as I was. Yeah, it is that kind of time when you're growing up. And you're getting a little aggressive as a little boy.
Probably was, if this was like 97, 98, this was like prime N64 era for me too. I got my N64 and I'm just I'm playing time. That puppy every night.
100%. Yeah, so it's a weird time in that. And then it took, the Cartoon Network stuff to pull me back into stuff, because it was like what I was, what I was into previously, being like the Nickelodeon stuff, and taking it even further in a different direction. Yeah, because it was like Nickelodeon was the counterculture to Disney, but like it started becoming the culture, and then Cartoon Network came in as the counterculture of Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yep, because then it turned into more. Nickelodeon took some notes from Disney, because they're like, oh, we need to answer the Hannah Montana, so we got to have something kind of like that with colorful characters, and everybody has to wear really vivid like clothes and costumes, and that's when like iCarly and Zoe 101, and yeah, I remember for some weird reason my brother watched
the preteen shows.
Yeah, he watched Zoe 101. I'm like, what are you watching?
Yeah.
Why is this on?
Yeah.
It's because like he's waiting for SpongeBob to show up. Like,
well, the thing was too, like, I liked watching Nick at Night, right?
Sure. Cheers.
Which at that point had a lot of like 70s stuff. And so, but those shows were always on like right before it started. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like sometimes you'd turn it on, and then you'd be like, God damn it, this is still on. Then you start watching it.
And then
the next week you might be like, I watched this last week, it's whatever, and then you turn it on, and then all of a sudden you're watching that show now too, just because you accidentally watched it one time.
And you jump from that to like Fresh Prince or like Cheers.
Yeah. Well, this was even before that, before Fresh Prince was on, I think. So it was like shit like Sanford and Son and like All in the Family and like stuff like that. So it was even more of a culture shock, I think, than it would be to go from that to Fresh Prince.
Sanford and Son, watching Zoe 101 to Sanford and Son.
Right, or Three's Company, shit like that comes on right now. Knock on our door. Yeah.
This was a fun one to rewatch. This is something I would probably go watch again.
Yeah.
Or like watch other episodes. I just wanted to go through some of these. And the season list. 3. It didn't beat Gummy Bears. My goodness. Gummy Bears is the reigning champ.
But to be fair, it was like 3 seasons over. No, it was 4 seasons.
Oh, Gretchen Gets High. Look at this one. My fair Gretchen just.
Oh,
He's totally zooted right now, dude.
It's 4 seasons long, not 3.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Recess?
So that's what the
That's just what Disney
maybe
says.
not.
I don't know.
What the wiki says.
Oh my god, look at that kindergartner. Good lord.
Hell yeah. Oh, no, Mamma
Pasquale.
Mia.
We got Pasquale.
Yeah. These thumbnails are all great too.
We got the Ashleys. We
That's
didn't see
Principal
them.
Prickly right there. There's Principal Prickly.
Yeah, it looks kind of like Dabney too, which is kind of funny.
A little bit.
You could tell it's like a Dabney caricature.
What's that Bob's Burger ass motherfucker right there? That's Spinelli's dad.
Yeah, I saw Spinelli's mom is actually Katie Siegel too.
Oh, nice.
And there's some overlap with some of the 90s Little Rascals. Some characters.
We
from
can even
that.
click. Oh, wait, no.
But yeah,
It's awesome.
this is a interesting show, and yeah, definitely worth a rewatch.
It's definitely one I would casually just throw an episode on every once in a while. You know what I mean? Or just like come home one night, a little hang dangle, and just fucking put it on for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I think something that's nice about this show is that it's got a very good, this like solid foundation with the characters, the premise, and then from there, each episode they have 2 chances to swing, and they kind of just like go for it every time.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That was also a rare thing,
Like,
or
look
or
at this.
a common
We've got,
thing with the 2
we see
episodes.
Spinelli being like a kindergartner. We see one of like
Yeah.
noir. Like there, it's nice to see that there's variety, that there's some taking of chances, and it's not just trying to stick to the same thing every time. Of like,
I remember an episode where you find out that Spinelli's first name's Ashley, and she like joins the Ashleys, or tries to, for like a little bit. And like she tries to dress girly and stuff. Yeah, I remember correctly.
yeah, that Zooted Gretchen is very good.
So,
With the fucking beaver teeth, dude. Like it's
and like a lot of these shows, Wilson, like you brought up that one time, the unique silhouettes for all of them too that are easily identifiable.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing in like a lot of shows, but some shows aren't as good with it. Sometimes you got dudes that just be looking like the same dude.
I mean, to be fair, that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles terribly they do not pass that test.
It's true.
No,
They're
that's
a bunch of
why they
turtles.
got colored bandanas.
But
'Cause
it's nice that
you know,
not only are these characters, like you said, they kind of represent different parts of like society,
Yeah.
whether that be like cultural, and it's just there's different personalities. There's everybody kind of gets to see themselves represented, or somebody that they maybe,
Yep.
if not they feel represented by, that they like connect with more than the others.
Mhm.
Yep.
Every kid wanted to be like TJ. Every girl
Yep.
wanted to be like Spinelli, but also the brainy kid saw themselves in Gretchen, but also in Spinelli. And yeah, you just throw yourself at these characters and be like, yeah, I act like this a lot. And
Oh yeah, wasn't Spinelli smart too? Secretly smart.
I don't
That was a
remember,
thing,
but
too.
Could be.
probably.
Gus is just like the coward, the perceived coward, but always ends up being brave, you know.
Yeah, it seemed
Yeah,
like
that's
that
the
from
thing to
the,
Finds a way
overcome.
to be brave, and
yeah.
And he kind of looks up to TJ because of that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
TJ's so like brave.
Yeah.
TJ's
or,
the
you know,
instigator. TJ always
He-
instigates
TJ
people to do stuff.
He's the outward extroverted, like, hey, I'll talk to anybody, I'll do anything. I'm
Yeah.
on the face.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking TJ with a black eye, good lord.
That
This
kid
one's
probably
cool.
got a lot of black eyes. Like,
This one's
you know what I
weird.
mean? Like, realistically, a kid like TJ, he'd probably get a lot of black eyes.
Oh,
That
yeah.
boy's stirring up shit.
This is not something I'm asking for, but I would be curious to just like outside of this recording, brainstorm what we think these guys would be like in high school. You know, like do they keep their same shtick, or do they transition to something else, or do they even stay?
There's some of them grow apart.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the sad thing. You'd totally see all these guys drift apart.
Yeah,
maybe. Because who they
there's
are right now,
a couple of them that still
grade
hang out. You know what I mean?
It's not going to be who they are in high school. But that doesn't mean that they can't still be friends, you know?
There might be an episode where they do like a flash forward or something. I'm sure there's frequent flash forwards of like, this is what I imagine me being like in the future. This one looks crazy. Look at that. He's talking to like Hal.
Talking to Hal, yeah. So seeing these like thumbnails, it actually is like just animation wise, and I don't know why, reminding me very much of Hey Arnold, like we said. Like,
yeah,
I think it may be, it's in a school.
That's got to be around the same time as this too.
Oh yeah, school. Yep.
It's in a school. There's different like cultural and societal people represented. There's different statures, face shapes, heights. Like
So Hey Arnold ran from 96 to 2004. So it started the year before this. And then went to the year after this. Or no, 3 years after this. Hey Arnold's on for a fucking while. Jesus.
Yeah, and I think they went through a few different
5
Arnolds too. So they changed up after the Hey Arnold was successful. They obviously recorded their voices like years before they actually did post-production of like actual animation. And like the kids grew up, so obviously in this Arnold seems like he's King Bob, so he sounds a lot older than how Hey Arnold started.
I think he was Arnold the whole time though.
But there's been other Arnolds though, I think.
The whole time?
I think so, dude.
Well, that's true. That guy can do a really good pitch shift, you know, because Arnold.
I lied. There's been 5 of them.
That's what I thought, but
So he was the original. He was the original Arnold.
Yeah.
Then there's Philip Van Dyke, Spencer Klein, and Alex D. Linz. It's a name I know from something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he was Max Keeble, dude.
I guess we'll get into
Max Keeble's big move.
Oh yes. Okay, was that a movie? No.
He's in Home Alone 3 also. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this was a fun time, and definitely watch our next jump into Pepper Ann, guys. We got Pepper Ann,
dude. Much too cool for 7th grade, bro.
I want to get to.
He's like 1 in a million.
I just want to see if it's on here.
I'm excited for that one too.
There she is. Look at her.
Look at it.
There's Milo and I forgot her name.
Tyler.
Gretchen.
When you were.
Hold on, Bracho. You're
distorting.
You're distorting.
A young ginger boy. Did you feel? Oh.
Okay, try again.
Am I better now?
Yeah, you're better.
Am I better now?
Okay. You're better. You're better.
Just gonna say, as a young ginger boy, did you feel represented watching Pepper Ann?
No, more watching Rugrats and seeing Chucky and being like, hell yeah.
Oh yeah, Chucky did. Hell yeah.
He was my homie.
The Chuckster, dude.
The Finster.
Love that boy.
Or the
Finster. Chucky Finster, Miss Finster in Recess.
Oh. A distant relation.
Conspiracy?
Yeah.
Chaz's aunt.
There you go. Distant aunt.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start putting together the lists for Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network here.
Yeah, and stay tuned for Pepper Ann next week. We'll jump into that and see how that goes. See if we still can connect with this girl who's way too cool for 7th grade.
Yeah, she's like 1 in a million, dude.
And yeah,
she's the world's biggest fan.
World's biggest fan, Pepper Ann. And some of these caricatures look funky, so I'm excited to see this kind of animation.
Time to get funky, 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 funky.
All right, everybody.
We're going to get
Have a
funky.
good one, and we'll talk about Pepper Ann next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah.